Boom! Simple as that. Tonight, I've got some ranting to do. But about something else, I am going to expose this fucking music industry. Just fuck him. Let's go. I said, let's go, damn it! Yeah. Once again, I've got shit to get off my chest. And it ain't gonna be pretty. I have fingers to point. I've got triggers to pull. For certain. I've got eyes to gouge. What we have here is an industry that is in shambles. Now, I know what you're thinking. That I just have some illogical ranting to do, but this is very specific, and it's something that I've been garnering for a long, long time, and I think it's time to get this off my chest. What the fuck is going on in that industry? Why are they producing garbage in, garbage out? Because I don't think people have that much bad fucking taste, unless there's more fucking retards in the world than I thought in the first place. Holy shit. What is this? We went from bands like fucking Motorhead. I used to listen to people like, I don't know, Steve Vai, right? Ring some bells. That's musicianship there. Mainly because those guys back in those days, 60s, 70s, 80s, especially in the 80s, because the technology was there for that. They could produce the music themselves. They knew the insides out of the business. So they knew what to play, how to produce, what little buttons to push. And now what we've got is a bunch of overproduced, nonsensical, illiterate garbage. And I couldn't give a fuck, okay, how much that shit sells, because it means nothing to me. Because there's no quality in that type of production at all. It's just commercial crap that they just put it on the market to sell without any sort of thinking process, right? I know, I know. After having a whole industry that lapsed its production time value in 5-minute songs, you needed something else to butcher up. So you needed to compress that into, what, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes at most? But where's the quality in that? At the end of the day, when you put a musician that has the ability to actually take an instrument and play it, and that person is not just about picking up the guitar and riffing off on the chords. You need to have some actual knowledge and talent to pick up a guitar and play to that level. When, let's say, Eddie Van Halen picked up a guitar, what we see on those MTV video clips is just him with his guitar, and you see the craziness, and there's a lot of that marketing bullshit about it feels like the guitar is an extension of his arm, but the fact is this: before he ever picked up the guitar to just play the chords, he was actually tuning the guitar, he was actually cleaning the guitar, he was actually choosing which is the best guitar to play for each song. That's how much he cared. Okay, I just picked Eddie as an example because he's someone who was extremely popular, and this is why I really don't like the garbage that we have today. And I don't mean just these pop songs that, I know this sounds cliche. I fucking hate reggaeton with all my soul. But let me tell you something. Okay, I'm a metalhead. I'm a metalhead, and I am damn proud of that. But I'm gonna say something right now. Even the metal music industry is in the shit. Is in the shit because the way they produce the songs right now, it's overtuned, is undertuned. But there is no time to actually pick up the instrument and actually make that instrument a part of your everyday life. Because right now what they do is they pick up a guitar and the next day they pick up some other guitar just because it looks cooler, or I don't know. I really don't know, but it doesn't feel the same. There's no durability anymore. And this sucks. It really does. When you go to pick up a new album, when I go to a music store, if I ever go to a music store nowadays, because now you've got fucking Spotify and all this shit. But the fun about going to a record store and buy an album was you carefully looked at the bands that you wanted to collect. And there was a whole process. There was some time serving. When you go to Spotify, there's no process. There's no time serving. You just... press a name on your keyboard, and that's it. It's automation. So it's obvious that the feeling is completely buried under jargon. And it's a shame that this industry got to this point, because it has such a following. Especially, thanks to the music, there were movements that formed. Metalheads, the punk rock scene also had its following. It's not my favorite, but there it was, You've got everything in between there. You had those Grateful Dead cults, right? Those weird, violent hippies that followed that band and talked about how Marilyn Manson was their inspiration. It was very strange. But a movement nonetheless, created by music. Of course, Charles Manson was involved in the music industry. Now, I'm not saying he was any good. It's not the kind of shit that I would listen to, especially coming from him. You'll know, well, I don't know if you know how I feel about fucking Michael Jackson. I'm not going to get into that right now. I'll rant about him later. All right? We're going to come to that. Trust me. I've got a lot to... Wow. Okay. But coming back, there's... I think one of the biggest issues today is exactly that. The whole movement disappear. That mystique about wanting to be a part of something is not there in this industry anymore. It's not a part of that anymore. And maybe the fact that the drugs aren't there as much as they used to be. I know we shouldn't be doing drugs. I understand that. But the effect that they had on the industry as a whole was huge, is undeniable. Do you really think fucking Jimi Hendrix would have been what he was if it wasn't for some cocaine on the side or whatever he took? Because Jesus fuck, what a talent. It's not my favorite. Again, I'm not a Jimi Hendrix fan by no means. No, I am a Jimi Hendrix fan. I'm just not a super fan. But hey, I never understood super fandom anyway. It's fucking stupid. It's the most retarded concept. Doesn't matter. It's not just in the music business. I see that all over the place. Sports, media, Hollywood, all of that shit. That super fandom, that extreme fandom. It's fucking revolting. Right? Because if one day this podcast grows to a level where I've got a following and I've got a group of fans, I'll be alright, okay? I like the idea of having a couple of fans, but if they get too crazy, you better get the fuck out of my face, because I'm not about that. I don't like people like that. And there's a lot of that craziness today. Stalkers. How much of a fucking idiot you have to be stalking some famous person just because you have a fetish in your head? What kind of filthy nerd you've got to be? And I'm sorry, I know some people are gonna take this the wrong way. I'm a nerd, okay? Fuck that. It's not about that. You know what I was trying to imply here. Those geeks. Without a fucking life. Here I am. And you see that's not a word. I had a word in my head and I just lost it. You can clearly get that those people really are mentally challenged. And I say mentally challenged because I see a clear difference between someone who has a mental illness. That doesn't mean that that person is gonna be, I don't know, bothering other people to the extreme. Okay? Mental illness is serious shit. I know that. But somebody who is mentally challenged, in my way of view, my intake on this is, I say mentally challenged because you've got to be really fucking out there, borderline criminal, to actually go and have the balls to be creeping somebody up just because you have a fantasy with that person. Oh, come on. It's insane. But it happens a lot, especially in this crazy world where now we have the internet Hollywood type shit, right? Those YouTubers that become super famous and for whatever dumb, stupid reason, right? Those Logan Pauls of the world. Fuck that guy. Holy shit. Now he's pretending to be a boxer. Come on, dude. Fuck out of here. Please. Anyway. And there's a lot. And all of that is directly related to how the industry is today. Because those little creatures that harass those people just because they become famous, let's not forget, those people are just people like us, alright? They might have some ego, they might be a little, off the edge, but they are people. And they have to live through stressful situations, and some don't know how to deal with all of that shit. I don't know if I would be able to deal with shit like that. If I become famous and for some reason or another it goes wrong, because it can't go wrong. It's not just about the millions. You know how many famous people get fucking depressed even though they're rich because they can't go anywhere anymore? Try to go to Walmart, right? Pick up some bread. What the fuck? And you've got surrounded by the press and some geek asking for an autograph. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know if I would deal with that all that well. If I get to that level someday with this podcast or anything else, it doesn't matter. But I think it's absolutely insane that the way things are right now. It's crazy. Because even though you don't see as much back in those days, everybody knew that there were drugs and alcohol and sex involved in all of this. Today, maybe there is, but it's not the same way, right? It's not the same. The debauchery doesn't happen in that type of, because back then it was all influenced by talent. It was a way to make the talent better. Wake up! Get some coke in you! Sober up! That was the deal back then. Today, I don't know what kind of shit they take, because clearly coke is not enough, right? But it's not the same way. It's not as, I don't know, maybe people do know, but it's not as publicized as much, just because of the reputation of the drugs. No, it's not the reputation of the drugs. Let me rephrase that. It's the reputation of the effects of the drugs after some time, right? Because when you start doing drugs more and more and more to the point where you become an addict, it's not the drugs, it's the effect of them when you're an addict. If you're not an addict, you won't suffer those consequences. If you do cocaine once or twice, probably the chances are nothing's gonna happen, right? Next day, you feel a little weird, that's it. But I imagine someone who takes cocaine on a daily basis, and obviously, if you don't have it, shit happens. Bad shit happens. You start to feel the effects, and they're not good, because you depend too much on that. And it's insane how the whole production, because it's so unrelated right now. It's almost like the producers are in one building and the musicians are in another, and there is no communication. They just give the producers the material they did, and the producers just whack out whatever they feel like, right? And then sell it. And most times those producers earn a big chunk of the work that the musicians did. And yet they cut it out, right? They cut it in half. Maybe the musician wanted a song that was 7 minutes long, and nope, no way. 2 minutes, fuck that. And all the work that the musician did goes down the drain. And the musician just takes it because he's probably making a lot of money out of it. Or not. Some of them aren't. Right? Maybe there are some producers making more money than most musicians out there, and that's another problem. Shit. And who's to blame here? Because I put myself in a position of a producer, and I'll probably do the same thing. If it's money coming my way, fuck the musicians. I want a big chunk. But if I'm sitting on a piano with a masterpiece, and the guy just says, "Oh, you're playing the piano? That's kind of old-fashioned, don't you think?" What? Yeah. Here's a board. Press some buttons on it. Look at the sounds it makes. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. I'm a musician. I play instruments. I'm not an IT guy. Get that stuff out of my way. And another thing, the live production as well, right? You don't see live concerts the way they were, with a few exceptions, right? You go to an Iron Maiden concert, doesn't matter if it was in the 80s or today, they're fucking beasts. But if you go to, I don't know, go watch Justin Bieber, come on. That is garbage. Right? And it's dysfunction. It's what time does. And there's a lot of politics involved as well inside the music industry. Because they don't want talented people anymore. That's why talented musicians have to do all the work by themselves and do an extra effort to publicize themselves on the side too. They need to do the effort to actually get on the radio or on any piece of media that they can get to attract people with some sense of creation that actually enjoys good shit. I don't understand how anyone doesn't like the masterpieces that Pink Floyd used to play. Right? Because it's just insane the amount of talent in one band. Again, I'm not a Pink Floyd head, okay? But I recognize the talent. Hey, let me say this. I think I'm of the opinion that the Beatles were probably the most overrated band of all time. But comparing them to the musicians of today, holy shit! Talented, of course, comparing to today, fuck yeah. Back in those days, not so much. I still think Elvis was better. Of course, completely different. But I think the comparison is because they were on the top of the top selling, right? On their live shows, they were attracting more public. Elvis in North America and the Beatles all over the place. Then Led Zeppelin came along. There was this huge British rock revolution that brought Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, right? Motorhead, fucking Lemmy, eh? Rip. Jesus, what a talent. And it's not just about the musicianship. It's the ability to write as good as anybody in literature used to write. And that's insanity. And it's even harder because you've got to compress that into a music that has to be between 3 to 5 minutes long. Occasionally, it goes up to 8 minutes. Bands like Rush, Dream Theater, go a little bit over the edge and do 20-minute songs, but that's for a different kind of public. And I guess the missing link today is probably all of what I just talked about. Everything that I just said. You put, the combination of good producing and good mixing with phenomenal musicianship and creative minds, and you get somewhere. Maybe one other thing that is happening is maybe this industry already gave us everything it had, and now it's just boring because most of the things are also starting to get repetitive. Because there are a few talented bands, but those bands are just a copy of bands that came before them, right? You've got Greta Van Fleet, which is a great band, but, if you're going to listen to shit like that, I'd rather pick up Led Zeppelin. Not for nothing. Because as good as they are, they're just not original. I'm sorry. It's a copycat. As good as you can be. If you're just a copycat, your talent, as you can be even more talented than those guys were, but if you're just a copycat of what Led Zeppelin was or what Pantera was, it's not gonna, it's not gonna do it. Because these new generations, they do a little Googling and all of a sudden some bands like AC/DC pop up and they say, oh shit, this is really similar to that. And then they start going to AC/DC. The ones that like that shit. And it's clearly a badgering to how all of the creative industries are today. Same thing happens with the movie industry. Maybe it's why we don't have good movies anymore and we have more TV series, right? Internet series because of Netflix. Because now you've got to compress the episodes to 15, 20 minutes. You can't have a movie with 2 hours. Because people get distracted and tired and bored watching 2 hours of a movie. They rather watch a 15-minute episode of Friends. And I'm not even going to mention the cancel culture in all of this, because it has a lot to do with it as well. Because everything's canceled now, There's no edginess because they feel like any type of edgy content might offend someone. So what? If you get offended too easily, then it means that maybe your feelings are not that important. Maybe you should, I don't know, buy a girlfriend or something. Shit. Why is it that people today are so butthurt about shit that it's not even personal to them? That's the craziest shit, right? They get offended about shit that is not even personal to them. How can you relate to something that is not even to do with your life? Because if it was, if it affected you directly, then maybe I'll understand, right? But the fact is, most of those snowflakes, they just want to cancel everybody and censor everything because they think that everything that represents a threat to what they believe in is hate speech. How insane you've got to be to think that just because somebody else comes with a different mindset, automatically hate speech. You know, what happened to those days where you had someone with a different view, and instead of going, no, because that's hate speech, because you don't agree with me and you're racist. What? Where did that come from? What happened to, all right, I see your point, but I disagree, right? Or maybe I agree, not to the fullest extent, but I agree to some level. Or I understand it. I understand why you will think that way, but I disagree. And it's alright. It's not personal. You're not attacking me by thinking differently. Jesus. And that's the core of everything today. Maybe it's why the edge is missing, right? A little bit of edginess is healthy. A little bit of trauma is not as hurtful as you think it is. Sometimes shit happens and you have to get into fights. It's gonna happen. It's not pleasant. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not for violence here, but sometimes in life, in some circumstance, you're in a shit and you get into a fight. The best way to deal with that is just fight. Get your nose bleeding. Get a black eye. Learn about that stuff. Because then you're going to be able to handle yourself a lot better. Let me tell you. Much, much better. And I can say this for personal experience. I gave it and took it in life. Shit. Tough. But hey, I'm not some crazed lunatic. I have crazed lunatics periods, but I'm not insane. Doesn't happen all the time. Happens occasionally here and there, like everybody. Right? Now, I'm not saying that I never get offended. Of course I do. There's shit that offends me. But I'm not that fragile. Especially now. Maybe at some point I was a little more fragile than now. But hey, I think 30 years of living taught me something. But I don't know if everybody has this type of concept about what happens. And when I say that, when I'm talking about the music industry, I'm attacking that subject because it matters to me personally to a certain level. But this could be about anything. Look at those huge Star Wars fans, right? Star Wars has a huge cult-like following that came from the early 80s when I was born, right? And I'm taking Star Wars just as I could have taken Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, all those sagas that created culture and a following, right? How would you feel? Well, maybe it is happening to them. Look at what's happening to Star Wars now. I think they sold out to Disney. So George Lucas doesn't have a hand in it anymore. Right? And I don't know, maybe the movies are still good, but of course the old school fan is gonna say, what the fuck is this? Same way of viewing. Now I understand things have to change. Time does that. But I expected those changes to, I don't know, be good. But the fact is, in the music industry, those changes are just terrible. And I guess, older generations might say this as, oh yeah, but the music that you listen to is also god-awful. It's noisy and loud. I can understand that. I can. But there are reasons for that. And as much as you may not like the noise that Sepultura does, when you read the lyrics, you say, okay, I get it. There's creativity there. But you look at the industry now, and it's... Jesus. And I think, could this get any worse going forward? I'm trying to imagine, what will this industry look like in the next 30 years? Where will it go? Because is there any way to progress with the industry at this stage, on this state? I don't see it. I really don't. And I could come up with a bunch of excuses for why this happened, We heard it all. MTV killed music. MTV killed the rock movement. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's true. I think that's just, marketing schemes. I could come out here and rant about how Kurt Cobain and that fucking grunge shit killed the metal movement. But it's not true. It may be part of it, but it's not just that. And if I'm honest, even though I don't like Nirvana, I can see the talent that they had. But hey, that's how it is now. And the craziness, now they want to cancel Marilyn Manson, but before they wanted to cancel Marilyn Manson because they saw him as Satan worshiper, which was a funny thing, right? We knew that he was never going to get canceled because of that. Because as much of those religious PCAs wanted to push for that to be censored, we knew that at the time the music industry was earning big money thanks to Marilyn Manson. So they would never allow that to happen. Never. And he never did. Right? But now, all this craziness. Now, I don't know what the story is exactly. And if it's true that he did what they're accusing him of doing, then maybe he should be cancelled. I'm gonna go back to Michael Jackson. And yeah, talented. I fucking hate it. It's not the type of shit that I would listen to. But I also hated it because of what he represents as a whole. And maybe I'm judging without having all the facts straight. But who does have all the facts straight when it comes to Michael Jackson? Was he abusing kids or not? Because as far as I understood what went on, apparently he paid big bucks to those parents of those kids to shut them up. But that makes me think that he did something. Because if he didn't, instead of doing that, he would say, no way, I'm not paying shit to you. I'm innocent. We're going to go all the way through with it. And maybe he would end up in jail, but at least he would go with dignity saying that he was innocent. But that didn't happen. It's not the way it went. He never alleged for innocence. And maybe that's a big stain. And it's why in my house I canceled Michael Jackson. I don't want to hear about him. I don't want to have anything to do with that shit. Now, if it's the case with Marilyn Manson, then maybe he deserves the same treatment. What's the difference between Michael Jackson and Gary Glitter? Same shit, right? And yet, Michael Jackson has a huge following, and Gary Glitter went down in obscurity because everybody hates him. Now, what's the logic in that? The same argument, right, for Gary Glitter than for Michael Jackson. The exactly same argument. Because there's no proof against him. Or maybe there is. It's not clear. He's also never alleged for innocence. So, who's to blame here? The media. As usual. It's what I do here. I blame it on the media. Propaganda machine. To sell shit that doesn't matter. Of course, we can come and argue that heavy metal is shit that doesn't matter, but at least it's something that I like. Let me have a taste for shit that doesn't matter, that I can at least buy. Let me have my own greedy conscience biting me on the ass. Right? I guess that's what I had about the music industry, or the industry of industries as a whole. The world is slowly going to hell. But we all knew that. And what's funny is we already went through with the end of the world. This is just the part after it. We're picking up the pieces. How insane is that? Chuckles. Not so much. But hey, it's an interesting analogy, right? To think that we already went through with the end of the world and we're living after the apocalypse. What? We lived in a bubble for over 50 years without any pandemic. And now we think this was the end of the world? Really? I think we had worse. But maybe the problem is that we're too worried about what we read and watch on the news, because it's always bad and it's getting worse. And there's no hope, no light at the end of the tunnel, folks. It's all shit from here. We're all gonna get poorer, we're all gonna go to hell, we're all gonna rot in shit. In rotten shit. What? No. Life was never easy. And if I have to be completely truthful here, even with the pandemic, we live in the best of times ever. Let me tell you. Climate change, all that bullshit. But have we ever had what we have today? The ability to do this, what I'm doing right now with this microphone in my hand. Do you know how powerful this is? My voice is a weapon. That's what I'm saying. And your voice is a weapon, because you have the power to do the same. Pick up a microphone and let your thoughts out the drain. No fucking filter. Say what you want. Yeah, they're gonna, maybe someday someone's gonna try to censor this shit. But I don't give a shit. Because it's out there now. Crazy. How damaged the human brain can be. Jesus. We're in the best of times. At any level. Health, even with the pandemic. Look how these doctors advanced medicine. Yes, we're in a pandemic. Yes, a bunch of us died. But hey, a bunch of us died before this. And the good part is, yeah, people die. Sometimes that's inevitable, but the way the medicine works today, if you get there in time, you don't need much to be saved or to save a life. That's how great medicine is today. Now, of course, some doctors make mistakes. Some are assholes. Some are whatever. But the way things are right now, thanks to the advancement in the medic science field, holy shit. And we still think we're in a dark age? Get the fuck out of here. Put some fucking positivity boots on, shall we? Fuck. I'm sick of this. Seriously. Bad news everywhere, all the time. War. War. More war. Bomb them. Right? Fuck. Let me live, man. And yeah, I'm here sitting, and this is very ironic because I say everything good, and yet here I am ranting about the music industry. Like it matters. No, it doesn't. My life doesn't change because of that. My life goes on. But I rant about it because it's a form of entertainment that I feel I lost. And it's sad in a way that it's sad because it feels like everything is more boring. But things are not worse than before. And when you get to the news and you see a lot of this type of sentences now, it's crazy, right? You see some dumb shit bastard coming up on the TV screen to say, here's the report doing an interview, and the first thing you hear is, oh, nowadays, oh, I wish things were like in the old days, because nowadays, holy shit. What? You're insane. You seriously prefer to live in the past? Alright, here's the thought. If we had a time machine, go live in the 1500s. See what happens. Go see if a pandemic hit you. If you will have the way to get to the hospital as fast as you do today. Right? You'll be dead in hours. Not even days. You'll be dead in hours. And at 35, you'll be considered old. Not middle-aged, old. So get the fuck out of here with that argument. It's stupid. nostalgia. Fuck nostalgia, man. Use nostalgia for the things like what I was using it for. The music industry. That's what nostalgia's for. Fuck the rest. We don't live in the dark ages. Au contraire. Putain. Wake up. Right? I guess. Wow. This is 1 hour. Shit. This is probably the best episode. Alright. I'm gonna pack it up. We've been here for an hour. Just over an hour. Folks, I'm proud of this episode. I think I managed to do this a lot better. I still need to get better with my microphone skills, and I apologize for that, but I promise you I'll improve on time. Thank you very much, and as always, you're always welcome to My Voice is a Weapon. I have been your director, producer, and host, Rod Grum. See you next time.